Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to ResearchBunny. We've got something truly intriguing lined up for you today. Picture this: what if the climate's warming temperature, often labeled as a foe to human comfort and wellness, might actually be boosting our athletic performance in a surprising way? Yes, you heard it right. Today, we're diving into a thought-provoking study that might just challenge your perspectives on climate change and its effects on our capabilities. The paper in focus is titled, "Warming Climate is Helping Human Beings Run Faster, Jump Higher, and Throw Farther Through Less Dense Air." It's authored by Shixin Wang and Tiexin Chen, both of whom are based at the Qinghai Provincial Key Laboratory of Plateau Climate Change and Corresponding Ecological and Environmental Effects at Qinghai University of Science and Technology in China. This study isn't just a mere observation, it's an intricate dance through data and climate science. So, why is this research significant? Well, while we often equate climate change with negative repercussions, think increased temperatures making us uncomfortable or even affecting our health, this study flips the script. It ventures into the domain of athletics, specifically anaerobic events like sprints and jumps, to understand how warmer temperatures might sway these activities. Traditionally, research on climate change has spotlighted its adverse effects: declining work capacity and elevated mortality rates. But when it comes to athletic performance, particularly in short, intense events, the conversation is just beginning. ResearchBunny is proud to host today's conversation, aiming to simplify these complex discussions and make academic insights accessible to everyone. Understanding how climate change might affect various facets of our lives, including how fast we can run or how high we can jump, forms an essential part of shaping informed adaptation strategies for the future. Getting into the paper, the authors performed an exhaustive literature review. Much of the existing research outlined how climate change's warming trend negatively impacts human activities and well-being. However, investigations into how temperature affects short-duration athletic events remain scarce. This paper seeks to fill that gap by exploring the effects of temperature, wind, and other meteorological factors on elite athletes. The study draws attention to how, in contrast to endurance sports, sprinting and jumping might actually benefit from warmer weather. Less dense air, associated with higher temperatures, can reduce air resistance, potentially giving athletes a literal edge in their performance. Think of it as less air to push through, so every movement becomes that bit more efficient. It's an intriguing counterpoint to common beliefs about the impacts of global warming, bringing a fresh, multifaceted perspective to climate discussions. This study is not merely academic but also relevant in the current global scenario, where climate change impacts are of growing concern. It highlights the necessity of a nuanced understanding of climate change that doesn't shy away from its implications but also doesn't paint them with a single, broad brush. Perhaps, through research like this, we may uncover aspects of climate change that demand reevaluation and a more balanced approach to discussing impacts and solutions. With that intriguing foundation laid, we'll dive deeper into the workings of the study after a short break. Don't go anywhere. There's plenty more to uncover in this fascinating interplay between climate change and human performance. All right, dear listeners, we're diving straight into the main content of today's discussion, where we explore the intriguing findings of the paper on how warming climates are influencing human athletic performance. Strap yourselves in as we unpack how something as global and pressing as climate change can have a nuanced effect on something as remarkable as human capability. Let's start by examining the methodology employed in this research. Imagine you're watching the Olympics or the World Athletics Championships, a thrilling arena where the world's top athletes race against the clock and each other. Well, the study we're discussing collected comprehensive data from these very events over the period of 2019 to 2021. They analyzed 13 anaerobic events, those heart-pounding competitions lasting under 90 seconds, like sprints, hurdles, and jumps. This analysis was backed by data from the top 20 athletes in each category, which really honed in on the CRME of athletic prowess. Now, you might wonder, how can mere weather data tell us about athletic performance? Great question. The researchers meticulously gathered meteorological data, which included variables such as ambient temperature, tailwind, wind speed, and relative humidity from weather stations close to event venues. All this information was then analyzed using multiple linear regression. Picture it like a detective unraveling a mystery. using all the clues or data points, in this case to piece together the bigger picture. One of the standout methods used was the random forest regression, a type of analysis that acts almost like a decision-making tree, figuring out which weather variables most significantly impacted performance. And yes, they also included handy tools like the wet bulb globe temperature and the Universal Thermal Climate Index to provide a full scope of the thermal environment athletes were in. How thorough! As the researchers dove into the numbers, their findings were nothing short of fascinating. They discovered a striking correlation. A 1°C rise in ambient temperature led to a notable improvement in the 100 meters sprint by 0.26 seconds. To put that into context, that's like the difference between a podium finish and just missing out. One cannot overlook the role of tailwind, which boosts performance akin to a burst of energy at just the right time. This wind assistance proved to be a significant ally for the athletes, perfectly complementing the effects of higher temperatures. Equally captivating is the role of atmospheric pressure or the lack thereof. Reduced atmospheric pressure, similar to conditions experienced at higher altitudes, seem to empower athletes further, enhancing their performance across most events. But it's a bit of a nuanced story when it comes to javelin and discus throw events, where this benefit wasn't consistent. Humidity, interestingly, played coy. Its impact was less predictable and didn't wield the same influence on performance as temperature and wind did. Beyond the linear numbers, the researchers also ventured into the realm of atmospheric science, exploring how reduced air resistance in warmer, less dense air works to athletes' advantage. They determined this thermodynamic effect alone accounted for about 31% of the improvement in the 100 meters sprint, an insight that prompts us to rethink conventional narratives. But what does this mean for the future? The research projected further performance improvements under high and medium emissions scenarios. Imagine potential gains ranging from 0.27 to 0.88 with unchecked climate scenarios. It's like imagining superheroes getting just a little bit faster or stronger, exciting yet complex. Now, let's chew on the broader implications. At first glance, it might seem like a celebration of climate change, given the performance enhancements observed. However, the research carefully positions these findings within a broader conversation. The benefits observed in elite athletics do not overshadow the critical urgency of mitigating climate change. While athletes might harness faster times, the greater narrative still involves adverse health and environmental impacts lurking on the sidelines. These findings also shed light on how complex interactions between environmental conditions and human capacity really are. The positive influence of less dense air extends beyond athletics into other anaerobic activities, potentially touching everyday exertions. Yet, the authors remind us that this is just one piece of the puzzle. There's a whole world of questions yet to be explored about how temperature interacts with other physiological and environmental variables. The potential augmentation of anaerobic performance amid warming must not distract from the pressing environmental crises we face. And with that, listeners, we've painted a comprehensive picture of how this study stirs the pot of our understanding of climate and performance. I hope you're as engrossed as I am in these multifaceted findings. We'll be right back after a short break, with more insights and conclusions from this remarkable research. Stay with us. As we draw our discussion to a close, let's return to the pivotal insights from this fascinating research. At its core, this study challenges the long-held belief that climate warming predominantly impairs human activities. Instead, it presents a compelling narrative that suggests a warmer climate could enhance athletic performance, especially in anaerobic events, by reducing air density and, consequently, air resistance. This is an illuminating find, adding depth to our understanding of how climate dynamics interact with human capabilities. One key takeaway is the statistically significant improvement observed in athletic performance across various events, thanks to the less dense air resulting from increased temperatures. This thermodynamic principle indicates that a seemingly simple environmental change can substantially boost performance, which is a revelation that extends beyond the confines of elite athletics. It raises intriguing possibilities. Could these benefits be applicable to everyday physical activities and other sports? While the scope of this study was specific to high-level competitions, there's a tantalizing possibility that similar enhancements could be seen more broadly. However, it is crucial to underscore that these findings, while significant, do not overshadow the urgent imperative for climate change mitigation. The broader, Often detrimental impacts of climate change on health and environmental sustainability remain a pressing concern. As we navigate these complex insights, it becomes clear that mitigating climate change's negative effects is still a top priority. The study also opens up new pathways for future research, investigating how these observed benefits translate across different populations and activities. Exploring the interactions between temperature and other physiological or meteorological factors could further enrich our understanding and lead to more tailored adaptation strategies. To contemplate the intersection of climate change and human performance is to venture into a space filled with both challenges and opportunities. Do we now look at climate adaptations with a multifaceted lens, considering all potential impacts on human life? It's a conversation worth having and one that demands attention from both scientific communities and broader society. For our listeners interested in diving deeper into this topic and uncovering further nuances, the full text of this remarkable study is available on the ResearchBunny app. We encourage you to explore this comprehensive research for more detailed insights. Thank you for joining us today in examining this unusual yet enlightening perspective on climate change's effects. Remember, ResearchBunny is here to keep you informed and engaged with the latest in academic research. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the science that shapes our world.